All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with CJ, a health insurance advisor, and I'm actually excited for this because we just had Chris White on, who sold into B2B for preventative health. And so it's interesting to get more of the consumer side of things with you. But I want to start, CJ, with your story getting into healthcare, getting into health insurance specifically, because you told me that there's like 3 stars that aligned. And I wonder if you
Yeah.
just want to like walk through your origin story, because it's kind of unusual for someone to be like, I just want to get into healthcare insurance, man. Like, I just love this so much. So tell me about your story getting into it.
What, you're saying not everyone dreams about doing a health insurance?
Maybe it was just me. Maybe I'm the nerd here.
No, yeah, I totally understand. Not everyone, kids dream about playing basketball in the NBA more so than being a health insurance advisor. But I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've tried a lot of different ventures, whether it be business stuff or getting friends together to do a golf trip or play soccer and whatnot. And I've always enjoyed making things happen and bringing things together, making people unite. And anyways, that's just like a personality trait of mine. And so when I was younger, I always just kind of try to do the best that I can. I always took pride in my own work. And so I was told to go to college, get a degree, and then go get that high-level corporate job. And it just wasn't filling. It wasn't filling my needs, my ambitions. I didn't feel fulfilled. Long story short. So, yeah, I like to think that 3 things happened to me. In hindsight, there's like 3 things that happened that I call my stars, and the stars aligning. And so, I've always been super healthy. I've always been super health oriented. When I was like in college and my roommates got sick, I would make them eat garlic. I would chop up onions and make onion syrup. And I was like, no, this is natural medicine. And I never went to the doctor when I was sick. I would find a natural way to get healthy. And I was healthy. I don't remember having any like real health problems other than, normal stuff. And that bothered me because I would be paying health insurance, and I feel like I'm healthy, and if I'm paying monthly for something, I should at least have basic stuff covered. And in my young adult life, I experienced the opposite. I was paying like $200 a month when I was younger. Then once I got older, it turned into $300 a month. And whether I needed an X-ray, because I needed many X-rays from soccer, I've always had like a sprain, or I had knee surgery and all these different things. Every time I had an injury, I had to pay like another $250. And in my mind, I'm thinking, why am I even paying anything monthly if I could just pay this premium once a year instead of 12 times a year, And so that's kind of 1 star. The 2nd star is my background in economics. I've always enjoyed economics without even knowing what economics was. I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always looked at like different free markets are everywhere. Even our relationship, Kurt, we agreed in an exchange, right? Or just your neighbor, your friends, everyone you interact with. You agree, hey, I'll smile and be nice to you. You'll smile and be nice to me. If I need help jumping my car, you'll jump my car because you know that I'll jump it back for you. And in a sense, that's a market. And I've always kind of thought in this kind of free market way. And so I ended up getting a degree in economics, and I've always been fascinated by economics. And going back to my experience with healthcare, I realized that it wasn't in a free market, because if I wanted to buy an apple, I could go to different grocery stores and see the price and buy an apple that I think looks good and is reasonably priced. And I could try that apple and say, you know what, the apple was bad, and then go try another one at a comparable price. Or maybe now I want to pay more because I think it'll taste better. You don't have that at all in healthcare. You could go to 5 doctors, ask for the exact same service, and it could be a very routine service. I want to get my blood work. I want a checkup. I want an X-ray. And they tell you they don't know what it's going to cost. What happens is you get the service, you show them the insurance card that you have. 3 months later, you get a bill in the mail, and the bill has 2 items. Item 1, physician service. Item 2, random service. Item 1 costs $300. Item 2 costs $400. Insurance takes off $100. There's your total. And you're just like, what the hell? And I always thought to myself, if it was a free market, I should be able to go to one doctor, ask how much it costs. This is my insurance. Would it cost less without insurance? Would it cost more with insurance? How much does it cost? It's a simple question. If you can't give me an exact price, give me a range. And the range should be small, not $1,000 range, right? And anyways, I noticed that early on in life, that people were just given vague bills after the service was already provided instead of being able to shop around. And then the third star, we're kind of circling back here, is my entrepreneurial drive. I've always loved organizing things, problem solving, making things happen. After my degree in economics, I obtained my MBA in entrepreneurship, which kind of shows you where my head's at. And I love helping people, and I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I wasn't happy with past experiences because I felt like there wasn't room to innovate. I've always liked solving problems, helping people, organizing, soccer meetups. I tried real estate for a while, but real estate just wasn't really my thing. And so I always had insurance in the back of my mind because I heard it from other people that they enjoyed doing it. And my former real estate partner started doing insurance, and so it was always kind of in the back of my mind. Insurance is a numbers game. You're getting it because you want to feel protected. You want to be covered in case of that what-if scenario. And that's why you're getting it. And then when you come to me, you're coming to me because I can make sure that you're covered. I can make sure that whatever scenarios are most applicable to you are covered. And then we just run the numbers. And I make sure the numbers are the best numbers they can be. And it's much more enjoyable that way, I think, for everyone involved. And so I found private health insurance eventually. And then those 3 stars clicked. And the reason why specifically private health insurance is because it's tailored to healthy people. So those past experiences I had were just regular health insurance where everyone's required to be covered. All you do is say which plan you want. And so now, me being healthy, I don't get a plan for healthy people. I get a plan that's for everyone. So I have to help cover the costs of that person that doesn't want to eat healthy and is going to the doctor every 2 months and has 10 different prescriptions. And so when I finally found private health insurance that actually looks at who they're insuring, right? If you're going to insure someone, shouldn't you know who that someone is? It just all clicked. And I realized my mission is what it is. It's to help healthy people get health insurance, where they get lower costs and better coverage because they're rewarded and get the insurance they deserve.
Man, what a weird system, eh? Like everything is just so not the way that a normal person would make this work, but it's so bureaucracy driven, I'm sure. So talk to me about what most people don't understand. So I'm just like, I'm a normal dude. I'm healthy. Dude, I'm the same as you, by the way. Like, never go to the doctors. My wife will put like onions in the kids' socks. Like, it's all natural stuff.
Yeah.
What do I need to know? Like, I've got health insurance. Okay, great. I didn't know I was paying for other people. Like, what am I not understanding that you can help me understand to save me money, but also keep me protected? Like, just give me the rundown of what I need to be knowing.
Yeah, I mean, the simplest way to break it down is you want to understand who you are and what pertains to you more. And for example, if you travel a lot, you want to have PPO because PPO covers more networks. And when you're in network, you get better coverage. When you're out of network, you're out of your network. Therefore, you get less coverage in terms of your health insurance. But in general, it's always better to get PPO because HMO and PPO are 2 different networks. PPO is preferred provider, HMO is health maintenance organization. And basically, HMO is going to be restricted to your zip code. If you want a specialist, you need a referral. And basically, it's just more restricted. They kind of keep you within a certain circle. PPO, 8 or 9 times out of 10, whoever you go to will be in network. That's one thing to look at. 2, your deductible. people don't always understand how deductibles work or what they are. I've even had people brag to me about how high it is, and I'm like, no, you want it low. And basically, the deductible is how much you have to spend in healthcare expenses before your health insurance actually kicks in. So ideally, the lower that number is, the better. And then the obvious number is your premium. How much are you paying per month? So maybe you'll save. You want to save on your monthly premium because you have some savings and you're not afraid of a higher deductible. You only go once a year for checkups. So that's something to consider. Maybe you rather just have everything covered, so you want just as low of a deductible as possible, and that makes more sense to you. If you're a homebody, you literally work remotely, never leave the house, and you just are trying to get the lowest price health insurance, then HMO might be the way to go. But if you want a good plan, you want PPO, you want the lowest deductible possible, and obviously you want the premium to be as low as possible too, right?
So talk to me a little bit more about why healthy, responsible people are getting punished by traditional plans.
Yeah, healthy people get punished because if you've ever gotten health insurance, whether it's through an employer or through the marketplace or through maybe another health insurance advisor, unless they did underwriting, meaning unless they looked into your health and your medical records and asked you a bunch of questions, then they didn't look into you at all, which means that they're accepting everybody. Do you have money to pay for this monthly premium? Okay, come join us. What does that mean? That means whether you're sick or healthy, you're accepted. And the sick people are using that health insurance more. They're not taking care of themselves. They get the flu every year, and they go get a doctor visit for the flu. They go get 3 prescriptions every time they're sick. They have other medications they're taking because they're not taking care of themselves. They're just sick, more sick in general. And they're using up that insurance. What does that mean for you, the healthy individual? You have to contribute to their costs because the health insurance carrier took on both of you. And so the healthy person's getting screwed over, basically, if they don't do an underwritten policy.
Okay, let's go back to deductibles for just a sec because I want to make this like crystal clear for people. Mm-hmm. So tell me about deductibles and tell me why it needs to maybe not be super high, but also give me the understanding of like who should want a low deductible versus someone who's maybe comfortable with a higher one.
Deductibles are not always well understood because, let's be honest, who's ever explaining it to you? Deductibles basically are how much you have to spend in healthcare expenses before your health insurance actually kicks in. And so if you go to the doctor a lot, that means you're more likely to reach your deductible. Or maybe you have some type of pre-existing condition that's just, let's face it, is just costly. So again, you're more likely to reach your deductible. So in those kind of scenarios where you're more likely to reach your deductible, it might be better to find a plan that has a deductible because then you'll save on your monthly cost, knowing that you're going to get the health insurance coverage anyways. So one way to look at it is if you're very comfortable in knowing that you're going to reach your deductible because of your specific lifestyle and life situation, you could add your deductible to your premium by taking your deductible, dividing it by 12, because there's 12 months in a year, and add that to your monthly premium to then compare to something that, let's say, has a $0 deductible. So Curtis, if you're 30 years old and you have a plan that's a $0 deductible and it's costing you $300 per month, that might cost more than someone who buys a quote-unquote cheaper plan. Their premium is less, but they have to reach a deductible. But when you add that deductible to the premium, it comes out to be roughly the same.
So if I'm a healthy person, is it likely that I'm wasting a lot of my money on my current health insurance?
There's only one scenario where a healthy person's not wasting money on their health insurance, and that's if their employer is providing a plan and they're the only ones on their plan. the reason why I emphasize that they're the only ones on their plan is because employers contribute greatly to their employees' health care plans, which is fantastic. If you have an employer plan, I suggest you stay on it because you're probably paying $80 a month, maybe $100 a month for a health insurance plan that's reasonable. If you're the only person on your employer plan, you're getting a good contribution from your employer. But what happens when you add people on, let's say a spouse or dependents, kids, your employer stops contributing by a lot. So they might be contributing 70% of your premium to your premium, maybe even 90%. And so again, it comes out to a lot less than any other plan. But then when you add on additional people, the employer basically stops contributing nearly as much, and the prices rise very quickly. So the only scenario where a healthy person's not getting screwed, or the most likely scenario, is that they're the only one on their employer plan. Outside of that, they're most likely overpaying.
Man, that is so brutal. Like, this is such a crazy system. Like, what are the people that you work with? Are they surprised when they come across you and realize they can do it differently?
Yeah, I would say every phone call I have, I could hear through the phone, I could hear them gasp almost every time. The only times they're not gasping is, again, they already have an employer plan and they were just browsing and they're like, I'm not paying $300 when I'm paying $80 through my paycheck. And then the other exception is if they're low income. So we mentioned the marketplace earlier in Obamacare. They're required to accept everybody. So if you're really sick, you're not going to qualify for a good healthcare plan unless you go on Obamacare. But Obamacare is also subsidized by the government. So if you're low income, you receive great subsidies. And that's the only time where I don't hear them gasp over the phone is because they're low income or they have pre-existing conditions. But the government's always changing. And if you're not living under a rock, then you know that we had a government shutdown. You know that every 4 years there's a new president or a potentially new president, right? You know that politics and government and laws change. And so that's not promised. Nothing is promised in life. But right now we're in a situation where they want to lower those income subsidies. They want to change things around. And so the only people I can't help are basically low income people or people on employer plans.
Got it. My goodness. Can you give any examples? And I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but can you give any examples of like the savings or the differences that people have had in their plans working with you versus what they were paying before?
Yeah. I actually had a really interesting call this morning. So I was talking to this person and they're currently on a plan and they're paying for themselves and their kids over $700 and they have a high deductible. And so they're telling me over the phone, yeah, I'm paying over $700 and every time we go in, we're paying everything out of pocket. And I'm like, okay, let me, give me your zip code, give me your date of birth, let me see what I could pull up here. And instantly I found a plan that not only costs less per month, it was like $120 less. So it was like $600 instead of $700, whatever. And it had a $0 deductible. So besides saving $120 per month, I also saved who knows how much per visit. Another couple hundred over the course of a year, maybe a couple thousand. Healthcare is expensive. If you need 2 X-rays, that's $500. So yeah, that happened this morning, and that's just one example.
Did you have to get like blood work or anything like that from these people? Like what does the underwriting require?
Yeah, so I mean, in that particular example, I was just quoting them, just pulling up plans that I could see. But when I go through with a client and we actually apply for a plan that meets their needs, there's a separate underwriting team where they look through your medical records, and basically the step-by-step process is that I talk with you to see what kind of plan you need. There's a lot of different variations. The question that every single person asks is, what about dental? So, taking dental on or off, whatever. And once we have a plan, I get your info. I ask you some health-related questions. Basically, I ask about your health history and what kind of health background you have, what kind of illnesses did you have or do you have, what prescriptions did you take or are still taking, things like that. I submit that in the application, and then there's a separate underwriting team. The first thing they do is they have a verification call. So they call the client or the applicant to basically verify the information that's in the application, and then the underwriting process starts. And so they look into your medical records. They basically look at your history. So it's actually a very simple process. It's just answering some questions, and if you're healthy and you answer the questions honestly, it's a breeze. If you're scared about something and you try to hide something from me, you kind of screw over the whole process, because basically underwriting is making sure that everything is consistent. So if you tell me one thing, I submit that one thing, the V-call finds something else, and underwriting finds something else, then they know that's fishy, right? So I always ask for my applicants to be as honest as they could be, and then we submit that information, and then usually it goes, if they're healthy, it goes through.
What happens if there is a big healthcare need? So let's say I've been healthy my whole life. I never go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then I get, hit by a truck and I break my arm and I need like a, liver transplant. Like, I don't know. Let's say something crazy happens. Does that are these plans robust enough to take care of things like that?
Well, first of all, Kurt, you should be looking both ways before you cross the street, okay? Let's
Dang
start
it,
there.
nobody ever told me that.
Let's start there. But yeah, no, excellent question. But that's why we get health insurance, right? It's for those what-if scenarios. I'm not getting health insurance to cover my yearly checkup, right? You don't get car insurance because you want to get an oil change. You get it in case that accident happens. And so, yeah, these plans are great plans. They cover preventative care. You have to be healthy to get qualified and approved, right? But if that what-if scenario happens, coverage is provided. That's why it's always better to apply while you're healthy. If you're healthy today, come on by and apply. I don't know what trucks are driving down your street later, so.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because in the back of my head, I was like, okay, well, if they're for healthy people, if they're cheaper, maybe they're just maybe they don't have as much stuff in them. And that's one of the things is, I'll never use that. But it sounds like that's not actually true. And so let's talk about the difference now between the private plans. Do people really know that this exists?
I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it always.
So talk about that. Most people got employer plans. They've got maybe public Obamacare sort of plans. Talk to me about private, and just explain a little bit about that. Help me to be confident that it's actually going to do what it's going to do, and that it's even an option for me.
Yeah. So many people don't put a lot of thought into health insurance because a lot of people have employers. Now we've developed a society where there's just a lot of big companies hiring a lot of employees, and so people get a job, they get offered 2-3 types of different plans, and they just click select, and that's all the thought that really goes into it. If that doesn't apply to someone, they go to the marketplace, they go to Obamacare, because that's the most marketed thing out there. When Obama was president, I think I heard about Obamacare 5 times a day, So that's what people know because that's what they've heard. And people live busy lives. They don't have time to dig into every single thing. And health insurance isn't exactly the most exciting thing. And so basically private plans, I want to say based on my clients that I speak to, 50% of the time, it doesn't seem like they were aware of that option. But it's It's health insurance, and in my eyes, it's even more real insurance than the other options because, like we mentioned earlier, if you were to run an insurance business, wouldn't you want to know what you're insuring? And so Obamacare is not checking who you are before they give you insurance. Your employer plans are not checking who you are before they insure you. How does that make sense? It's like buying fire insurance for a house that's already on fire, or or buying, house insurance for a house that's not even built, or maybe, you buy house insurance that should be for an apartment, but it's actually a mansion, or vice versa. It seems very logical to me that if you're going to do health insurance and there's going to be insurance, you should be looking into who's being insured. And that's what private plans are. For me, it's just logical.
Yeah, this is like a secret hack for healthy people, it seems like.
I think it's
Like I can't
I think it's
there's
just a
not more
hack
people.
to like justice. Like,
Right. Yeah, no, this makes so much more sense. And like, yeah, I'm blown away that people don't know and that it's not just like this all the time. Like, what do you mean I mean, the system is so weird, man. Do you have anything to say about like the system itself?
I'm very much like economics oriented in a lot of different ways, and obviously business is the way people think about it. But again, markets are everywhere, and in order for a product or a service or even just people themselves to improve and do their best, there has to be motive. No one's going to give it their all every day if there's no benefit from it. And healthcare and health insurance is not exactly in a free market. We talked about this earlier, that if you need a healthcare service, it's very difficult to shop around. You're restricted to in-network or out-of-network. You ask for certain services that to you seem routine, and quite honestly, I think a lot of things are routine. It's right. Checkups, blood work, X-rays, MRIs. These are all routine stuff that your physicians do on a daily basis. They should be able to calculate it down to $1 on exactly how much this costs them, and then how much profit they need to keep things running. And so I don't think there's a free market in healthcare or in most health insurances. How do you have a free market? Again, insuring, not knowing who you're insuring. That's not a free market right there. If I'm selling apples, do I need to know who I'm selling it to, right? Who's buying? Like, to me, it's like logical. There's no price transparency, which goes back to the whole free market thing, shopping around. If you're a doctor and the guy next door is a doctor and I need a checkup, why should I go to you? Well, because I get better service for a better price. That's how everything in the world works. But it doesn't for healthcare. I go to you because you're in networker. I don't go to you because you're out of network. And when I show up at your office, I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. I just pray that my insurance card is like a golden ticket, And so, yeah, there needs to be price transparency, I think, to solve a lot of it.
Your tagline on LinkedIn at least says health is built, not bought. And I wonder what you mean by that and how it changes your approach to insurance.
Yeah, we talked about this in terms of like my lifestyle and growing up, and I've always been focused on living healthy. When I'm doing groceries, I'm looking at the ingredients. I avoid sugar. There's no sugar in my house. When my wife first moved in and she wanted sugar, I said no, and we use honey instead. Honey's a healthier alternative. And I even go as far as to test my honey to make sure it's high quality. So I've always been health oriented, focused on living naturally. If I feel like something's off, I'm catching a cold, my reaction is not to go buy a prescription, to buy a medicine. That's not my reaction. That's why I say health is not bought. If I'm getting sick, I can't buy my way back into health. If I'm getting sick, I need to build my way back into health. I need to exercise. I need to eat well, right? And that's why I came up with that slogan, because I want like-minded people to know that I'm like them, and hey, I found something that works for us. right? For us people that are trying to stay healthy. It used to be that if you caught the flu, you stayed home, you ate chicken noodle soup, and then you were healthy and you built an immunity. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? The world has shifted, and now it seems like if someone catches the flu, they're in the race car trying to get to the doctor as soon as possible because they need a prescription and they need the doc's advice. Not that doctors are bad. They're well educated, they're professionals, but I think there's a rush to buy unnecessary prescriptions that mask symptoms rather than heal the underlying cause. And so I've built my life unknowingly with that slogan in mind, that I'm always building my health. And I want other people to know that if you're building your health every day and not looking to just buy a quick fix, we're here for each other.
Ooh, okay. Well, we're going to do another in a second, but what do you mean testing your honey?
Yeah. So not everything in grocery stores is what it is supposed to be. A very common example that everyone talks about all the time is that you go to Europe and you eat bread and cheese and butter every day, but everyone's skinny. And then in America, it's not the same situation. And my explanation is that we have different food regulations, and our food is less natural. And a very famous example is America's Coca-Cola. America's Coca-Cola has some type of syrup. I think it's corn syrup to make it sweet, or whatever it has. And then Mexican Coke, which is the good Coke, which is what fancy restaurants have, has real sugar, and so it's more natural. And an example that I always tell my family and friends when we're talking about foods and living naturally is that when you go to the grocery store in America and you walk down the bread aisle, you quite literally have hundreds of options. There are walls of bread. None of it is real bread. It's all sponge-like material. It's all Wonder Bread, and each packaging of bread has 20 ingredients in it. What is bread? It's wheat and flour. That's it. What are these other 20 ingredients listed on here? And so if something as simple, as basic as bread is not even natural, what do you think is in your body? People are acting like they're being healthy by getting diet soda. Like, come on, that is so far off. And so the question, right, was how do I testing honey? There's a lot of honey options as well when you go to the store. And real, raw, unfiltered honey is going to be more health beneficial to you. Honey is naturally antibacterial. Honey it never expires. Honey is helpful for your immunity. It is literally nature's medicine. But again, as example with the bread, not all the honey is real high quality honey. So a way to test your honey to make sure it's real honey and not something mixed with syrup, because the labels are not super honest either. They're organic and pure labels are not exactly what you think they mean. You take honey, put a teaspoon into the center of a bowl or a plate, and then put a little bit of water on top and just swirl it around, and the honey should start to form into the shape of honeycombs. And it's crazy. It's literally like honeycombs. It's not some random zigzag pattern. Honeycombs. And so they call it that. It's like the memory of the honeycomb, something along those lines. And so if it's more syrupy, those lines are not really there. They're like squiggly lines. If it's real honey, you will see a honeycomb, I promise you. So that's one wild honey test. Yeah.
I'm going to go test that after this.
Yeah. Test your honey. Look into the products in your kitchen.
Yeah, dude. I bake sourdough with stone milled organic flour, which is about probably as close as we can get in North America to like not terrible. And same reason. It's just a sourdough, and it's got some wheat, and it's got some water, and it's got a little bit of salt, and like that's it. And wouldn't you know, nobody feels sick after they eat it, even if you eat like a whole loaf.
Yeah.
You can just feel like amazing.
I'm convinced the gluten problem is made from the bread that we have in stores. Humans
Same.
survived off of butter and bread for thousands of years, and now we're gluten free. Like, what did I miss?
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree on that. So tell me more about like health things. What else are
Okay,
you into? What are some of the weird things you like?
it's another thing I thought about bread, so I'll just throw it in there. Another way to know if your bread is real is that it's not pre-sliced. Pre-sliced, people call it the best invention ever. It might be the worst invention ever because real bread has a crust that protects it. And if you've ever had real bread in your hands, the crust is kind of hard, right? And then when you slice the bread open, it's nice and fresh. But what happens? It turns stale. The bread in stores, is on the shelf for weeks, and then in your kitchen for weeks, and it's always soft and fluffy while it's been sliced open the whole time. That's a sign that it's not real bread. Other health trends, facts. Um, we're talking about health is built and not bought, and that pertains to a healthy diet, building your health up, exercising, and also you are what you eat, quite literally. So yes, sometimes you are sick and you need that medicine that was developed in the lab. But a lot of times, you have a sore throat, you have a cough. That's nature. Why go put some lab-made product in your body when there are natural remedies that are God-given from the earth? We talked about honey. A sore throat, take a spoonful of honey. It's not a magic pill, so it's not like one spoon and you should be healthy. But if you feel like you're catching something, start taking honey every morning and every night and just, do a spoonful. Another one that I love sharing is honey syrup. It's as old as time. Somehow every culture in the history of humans has done this, and now we forgot about it. If, again, you're feeling sick, maybe it's flu season, take an onion, cut it up, put it in a glass jar, and then fill the rest up with honey. Again, raw, pure, unfiltered, good honey. And close up the lid, put it in the fridge for 5 to 8 hours. That the sugar in the honey is going to break down the enzymes in the onions and bring out the nutrients. And that is natural made cough syrup. So if you feel like the flu season's around the corner, if you feel like your throat's a little itchy, make that onion syrup. Again, take a few spoonfuls in the mornings and before going to bed. And you're putting real natural healthy ingredients in your body. You're building your health. You're not masking the symptoms with Febreze. And so, Kurt, we're talking about all these health things and eating natural, and I put all this extra effort into staying healthy and being natural, and I kept feeling let down by the health insurances that I've had in the past. And I felt like there had to be a better solution, and that's why I got into what I do. I found this product quite literally by chance, and it clicked. Wow, it's a health insurance product that looks at your health. Like, I felt like a light bulb went off. Yeah, my head exploded, the light bulb went off. It was euphoric almost, just to know that finally all those years of honey syrup and eating real sourdough bread are finally going to be rewarded. I've put all this effort. I'm 30. I'll be 33 years old this year. So finally, 30 years of effort towards building my health is actually rewarded in my health insurance and not punished. I'm not paying someone else's costs. I'm paying for my costs. I should get what I deserve, and so should you. And that's why I want everyone to know that if you're building your health, I could help you get the insurance you deserve.
Okay, let's talk about self-employed. Like, is there any differences if you're self-employed?
Yeah.
So if you're self-employed then, and your employer is not paying for anything,
Yeah.
is private through you like a reasonable option, or how do you work with people who are self-employed?
Yeah, no, we mentioned earlier how like people don't put a lot of thought into health insurance because either they go to an employer and the employer offers a plan and all you have to do is click yes or no. And the other one is Obamacare because that one's been pushed just through media and marketing, and everyone knows Obamacare. And then you have self-employed people who are, if you've ever been self-employed or run your own business, you know how much time and effort and energy it takes. Blood, sweat, and tears literally go into your business. You wake up, you're working, you go to sleep, you're still working. So who's doing the research for you for health insurance? And that's why I try to market myself to self-employed people so that they know I'm there for them with a solution. Because self-employed people, or business owners, they don't have an employer offering them a plan that's subsidized. They don't have a plan that costs them $80. They have a plan that if they go on Obamacare, costs them a few $100s. And if they have a family, costs them over $1,000. A family of four could be $2,000. And that's not fair for anybody. And so with private plans, I think self-employed people enjoy our products the most because it's a solution. They don't have an employer option. And so it's a real solution, and they could write it off their business expenses as well because it's part of their operations, right? So it's even probably more beneficial for a self-employed person than it is for someone that has an employer option and chooses to go with private. Because if you're self-employed, not only do you get the benefits that everyone else gets of private insurance that's underwritten, you also get to write it off from your business. Section 105 health reimbursement, HRA. So there are tax advantages as well.
Dang. Okay. Well, that makes a ton of sense. And I feel like you're speaking to me. If I was in the States, I know where I'd be going. What have we not touched on that you talk to clients about or that people should know about health insurance, private insurance? Anything coming up?
So people don't want to spend more energy than they have to. Everyone's busy. People have kids that they have to take to soccer practice. They have dinner they have to prepare. They have a lot of work to do at work. And so they have a health insurance plan. They don't want to question it. They have it there. It's there. They're just ready to renew it and when the time comes next year. And I just want everyone to know that it never hurts to ask. I don't need much from you. I literally just need your zip code and birthday just to pull up some basic options. So don't be shy. Reach out, text me date of birth and zip code, and I will literally do the rest. If I need more from you, it could be a text or a quick phone call. So don't be afraid to at least question what you have and at least ask me if I could do something for you.
That makes sense. Man, where can people find you if they do want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I created a website for myself I want people to know that I am a professional. And so I created a website for myself where I highlight some of my services and I talk about my story. But you could also find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and we'll drop the links somewhere below, or I don't know.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button and find them in the show notes right below.
Yeah, add me on LinkedIn.
We'll put everything. Yeah. Okay, we'll put the LinkedIn, we'll put your website, find your Facebook and Instagram, we'll put it all down there. So if you guys want some more amazing health advice and also health insurance advice, follow CJ because, man, you are just like the perfect guy for like the people like us, man. There would be no question in my mind. If I had to go get health insurance, I'd be like, dude, it's through you. Like for sure. And so I think you've got a very powerful perspective building the health instead of like buying it because like I am your ideal client. I'm just not American. So anyway, I really appreciate the fact that you've been able to sit down with me today and like really, I don't know, unveil what was so clouded for me and what I'm sure is clouded for so many other people. And just like, hey, by the way, there's this other option. It makes actual sense. Like that's so rare in the healthcare thing. So anyway, dude, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Final thoughts, final words. Otherwise, we're good to go.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kurt, so much. It's been a pleasure recording this together. And everything you're saying is very accurate. You're saying so perfect for us. My 3 stars that are aligned and my whole story, that's not something I thought I put together for marketing. That was a light bulb moment for myself, was that I got into the health insurance because it made sense to me. And one day I was just hustling and grinding and it kind of hit me. And I just wrote down those 3 stars. And it was a very natural experience. And the more I get into it, the more right it feels.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, dude. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll see you back here for the next episode.
Thank you, guys.